Hexagram 25. Innocence. Not expecting, not projecting. The judgment. Innocence has supreme success. To be firmly correct furthers. If someone is not in accord with his true nature, he has misfortune, and it does not further him to undertake anything. Not expecting, not projecting, the sage informs us, is a person's natural state of mind. It means residing in one's centre, where discernment springs spontaneously from the feeling of what is harmonious and what is discordant. Such a state is in harmony with the cosmos and draws its help in all situations. Not expecting means approaching something, the sage, another person, a situation, free of prejudice, preconceived images, fixed beliefs, inner demands, fears, or doubts. It is to suspend judgment until one is led by one's feelings to a correct discernment, which expresses itself in an inner yes or no. No logical justification is needed beyond this feeling. Receiving this hexagram counsels the person to reflect on whether he is expecting or projecting in the way indicated above, for doing so would create the conditions expected and therefore also create a fate. In its cosmic meaning, the word innocence describes human nature in its original condition, before it has been colonized by the collective ego, as in perfect harmony with the cosmos and completely adequate in all respects to enable a person to live his life happily. Innocence also implies that a person's inner program, as designed by the cosmic consciousness, is free of all intention, contrivance, and falseness. It is a feeling program that knows, through the feelings, the appropriate responses to all things. This feeling program is quickly derided by the collective ego as worthless, in the sense of being ignorant, naive, and foolish. On these grounds, the collective ego overwrites this original program with a purely mental program it has devised. The definition of innocence by the collective ego thus shifts the faculty of discernment from feeling to thinking. This shift is accompanied by ceasing to speak in terms of what feels harmonious or discordant to mental terms that define what is good or evil. By this simple stroke, the ability of discernment is taken away from the individual and its source in his inner truth, and given over to the collective ego as the authorizing institution for all judgment about the nature of things. A person receives this hexagram to make him aware that his cosmic task is to return to his original innocence by ridding himself of the collective ego's mental program with all its mistaken ideas and beliefs that have put spells and poison arrows on his true nature. In fulfilling this task, he harmonizes with the greater plan that is at work in his life to manifest the uniqueness of his true self. Not projecting warns a person of a false attitude he has that is projecting negative effects upon his situation. He may, for example, be looking at someone with pity. In doing so, he is actually projecting a spell upon the other that he is helpless, which brings him even more harm. His projecting pity diverts him from saying the inner no to the other's display of helplessness, which display comes from the ego. The inner no would strengthen that person's true self, giving him the message that he can ask the cosmos for help. Now we do the lines. Line 1. Innocence brings good fortune. Receiving this line tells a person that he is in harmony with the cosmos. Therefore, he receives its help and the gifts he needs. The line states that our original nature, in its two centers of consciousness, thinking and feeling, is innocent at birth. The thinking center is the large brain, the feeling center is the heart. When we are centered within ourselves, both are neutral and ready to receive, in a balanced way. A person who is centered responds spontaneously in harmony with his inner truth and thus attracts the help he needs from the cosmos. This is the good fortune referred to. This contrasts with a person who has allowed his thinking center to be taken over by the ego. This results in the ego's seizing some of his true feelings and putting them into the service of its values. This happens, for example, when the ego seizes feelings of love and uses them as an instrument of power. Another consequence is that ego emotions such as pity, hatred, envy, jealousy, and the like are created by the mistaken beliefs, diverting the person from his true and natural responses to situations and creating a fate for him. Line 2. If one does not count on the harvest while ploughing, nor on the use of the ground while clearing it, it furthers one to undertake something. Not counting on the harvest while ploughing refers to relating to events in such a way that our gifts and unique talents can express themselves. This occurs when a person has a feeling relationship with what he does. A feeling relationship means that he says the inner no when it is appropriate, consistently withdraws from ego behavior, and keeps himself aware to go with what feels harmonious and to retreat from what feels discordant. This is in contrast to an ego attitude in which a person inwardly expects and demands that the harvest, the outcome, be what he believes it should be. Ploughing and clearing the ground refers to the inner undertakings that return a person to his original nature, allowing it more and more to express itself in its uniqueness. These undertakings consist in identifying and deprogramming prejudices, preconstructed views, and mistaken beliefs. The ground is not to be prepared for the planting of good seeds, as is done in positive thinking or imaging, or by introducing another belief system. Preparing the ground for peace, for example, does not mean praying for peace, as this would bypass seeking out and deprogramming the mistaken beliefs that foment and perpetuate war. Receiving this line counsels a person to examine his attitude toward his goal, the harvest, and to free it from any projection or spell put upon it by his egotistical demands. Line 3. Undeserved misfortune. The cow that was tethered by someone is wanderers again. The citizen's loss. This line can refer to a person who has innocently been drawn into another person's fate in order to gain something from it. The gain can be a material possession that fate has taken away from the other, due to his having attached himself to the possession. This line can also be received by someone who believes that because he has behaved well and done good deeds, he deserves the praise, gifts, and help of the cosmos. His expectations and belief that he is deserving have tied inner strings of attachment to the expected gifts. This is the meaning of the tethered cow. Since the cosmos withdraws from a person who has such expectations and attachment, the gifts do not come. As a result, the person thinks that misfortune is undeserved and that he has been treated unfairly by the cosmos. He is counseled by this line to rid himself of the self-image of the good person. He also needs to free himself from all ideas that have to do with expectation and deserving. For further discussion of this principle, see Hexagram 42, increasing. The wanderer refers to the person who is following the path of his inner truth and therefore is in harmony with the cosmos. He walks through life without attachment because he is aware of the source of his gifts, protection and help. All that he needs continues to flow freely to him from the cosmos. Line 4. He who is firmly correct remains without blame. Here, to be firmly correct means saying the inner no to the collective ego's contention that following one's feelings is stupid and that the feelings are only subjective and cannot be trusted. The inner no, likewise, must be said to the collective ego's putting so-called objective thinking up on a pedestal. Thinking takes its correct place and without blame. Say that line again. Thinking takes its correct place and is without blame only when it follows the feelings. It creates blame when it harnesses the feelings and turns them into ego emotions. The cosmic consciousness is a feeling consciousness that can also think, but it is through our feelings that we connect with it. To be firmly correct can also be counsel for a person not to be drawn from his inner center and his sense of self of what is correct by the fear-inspiring things that others say. He needs instead to say the inner no to the ideas behind those fears, which, if not corrected, will project what is feared into reality. So I'm going to highlight that one. I'm going to come back to it in my contemplations. This can also be counsel against listening to thoughts or ideas that would tempt him to blame the sage, fate, or other people for what is happening, either to him or to the group with which he identifies. He needs to withdraw from such blaming and also to withdraw from seeing himself as a part of a group we, such as a family, race, culture, or economic system. Every person has his own relationship with the cosmos, which determines everything that happens to him individually. See page 566, Glossary Group We. I recommend checking that out. Line 5. Use no medicine in an illness incurred through no fault of your own. Once you ask for help, it will pass of itself. This line is saying that the illness a person is suffering has been caused by a poison arrow coming from someone else, either in the past or in the present, in the form of one or more negative thoughts. When he receives this line, he does not need to identify the thoughts, but only find out who put the poison arrow on him. Say the inner no to that person, and then ask the sage and the helpers of the invisible world to eliminate it. The inner no needs to be repeated daily until he has been told by the sage through the RTCM that he can cease in his efforts. Then the illness will pass of itself because the cause has been removed. However, when the condition has become chronic through additional spells being added after the illness has manifested, these other spells need to be identified and deprogrammed before the healing can be complete. These other spells can originate in the diagnosis or prognosis or in false conclusions drawn about the condition and its causes or about one's nature. Line 6. Innocent action brings misfortune, nothing furthers. The seeming contradiction in this line reveals that a person has acted from a delusion. He believes he has behaved innocently because he has done all the correct things as defined by the collective ego. However, because such behavior is against his true nature, he has only suffered setbacks and misfortune. This line can also describe a person who thinks that by following the wisdom of the ancients, he is acting in harmony with the cosmos. He is not listening to his inner feelings and inner truth, but is following pre-structured beliefs that trap him in fixed responses. Since fixed responses cannot relate to the uniqueness of the moment, they exclude the helpers and create disharmony. In both cases, a person can return to harmony by ridding himself of the self-image of the innocent person. See page 541, Freeing Yourself from Self-Images. A person who follows his true nature only responds to what comes from his common sense. This keeps him in harmony with the cosmic whole, and thus he does not create a fate. This line also counsels a person not to blame himself when he has made a mistake. Making mistakes is part of the cosmic way of learning. After recognizing that he has made a mistake, all he needs to do is rid himself of the mistaken idea or belief, let go of the matter, and go on. Only the ego attaches itself to the mistake and indulges in blaming the person. The ego does this to make him be afraid of learning. Accepting the ego's blame puts a poison arrow on him and also opens the door to more blame being heaped on him by the egos in others. All these consequences of accepting self-blame comprise the misfortune mentioned. He can end his misfortune by freeing himself from the poison arrow of self-blame. See page 550, Deprogramming Procedure. This line can also refer to a person who, in doing the right things, expects the praise and approval of the sage to be reflected in some sort of success. Any form of expectation comes from the human-centered view of the universe and soils his innocence. Related ideas are those of having rights over others or over nature. Such ideas violate the cosmic principle of modesty. An attitude of modesty is the result of recognizing one's true place in the cosmos as equal to all other things. Without modesty, nothing furthers. I'm going to jump over to the glossary and check out the group we if you want to stick around for that. Otherwise, after that, I'll be doing my contemplations, speaking about my experience of this hexagram and some of my clients' experiences of what they're going through or have gone through that relate to this I Ching. Group we, another term for group ego, identifying with a group, family, creed, culture, nation, etc., causes a person to lose his uniqueness. Also, by taking on the values of the group, he puts loyalty to the group above being true to himself. Doing so blinds him to the fate of that group. See page 543, hexagram 59, dissolving line 4. He dissolves his bond with his group. Just jumping into this one quickly, hexagram 59, the crossover here is gene key 59. If you're familiar with the gene keys, welcome, hi. I was a mad fan of the gene keys, not so much anymore, although I do speak to that language when I feel the situation calls for it. This 59 from the gene keys is a very important key into what's going on right now in the collective evolution, in the cross of the Sphinx, can't remember which one it is now. And it exposes dishonesty. And from my own journey with this, I have gene key 59 in my tropical human design, my tropical gene keys, where it's about dishonesty is the shadow, honesty is the gift, and transparency of the city. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. And for me, when I've been in groups, so one of the hardest thing for me throughout my entire life is leaving a group. And the first group that springs to mind straight away is my school group. I had many school groups. I had many schools, went to multiples of schools, public and private, over my childhood. And there was one group in my year 12, the year just before you go to university or college, where I could see that they were using me. It felt like they were using me and inviting me out to things because I had a car, I had a van. I had like a 8-seater van, and they could invite me out to go to do things, and I drive them around. And what I found was that once this thing got in my head that they only care about my van, that started sowing into, well, these people actually don't like me for who I am. The next piece, the same group, was in our school, in school system, it was a private school, it was a Christian school, and in order to become a prefect was a person who, you got more responsibilities. You could talk in assembly. You got to wear a badge saying that you were a prefect. You needed to do church activities. You needed to be a person of Jesus, of God, of Christianity. Now, for me, I actually worked in the church. I worked in the church for many years, and I didn't want to become a prefect. In that, I happened to find a prefect badge on the floor somewhere. And I started wearing it. And what happened, some of the people in this group that I was hanging out with, they all wanted to become prefects. In fact, one of them became the school captain. He was worshipped for being the school captain. But what I could see was that there were just a bunch of sycophants and people who were out of integrity. They were hypocrites. So what I found in the context of this group is that I would attack this group. In fact, I remember making up a whole bunch of armbands with Kill the Hypocrites we're using clip art. And I made this sheet of paper. I name picking every one of these people in this group and just spewing truth about their true character, about who they are. And what I've done in the past to remove myself from groups is destroy the group from the outside. I'm like, yeah, these people are fucked. I can't stand them. They're all liars. They're all hypocrites. They don't say who they are. And then with the wisdom that I have now, I understand that survival patterns that live out in the body, you just adapt to feel loved. Your whole environment, your whole way of being is about wanting to be loved. So you will just edit your character, edit who you are to be loved. Now, the other crossover with the 59 is that they're very emotionally intimate with people. In fact, one woman who follows me on Instagram, she shared with me that she has 3 59s in her chart. And I was like, fuck, 3 59s. Whenever I see a duplicate in a chart, I'm like, oh my God, you really must really want to integrate that one. But what I find with the 59 is that they're very emotionally, they're very watery, very in their feelings, and very physically intimate. Like they're about desire. They're about, I think in the gene keys, in human design, it's about the prodigal, and the prodigal is about the channel of the prodigal. I'm probably mixing up, I'm probably butchering all of this. If you're someone who's really into human design and the gene keys, I'm just recalling from as much as I can from memory. Is they're about procreation. They're about sowing the seed. They're about repopulating the earth. Right? Elon Musk also has this in his chart. So why I'm telling you this is that at some point in your journey or journeys, you are going to encounter groups that you have bonded with that you are going to need to leave in order to fulfill the alignment of who you really are. Leaving groups that you love and groups that love you can be incredibly challenging because it reinforces your identity. It reinforces that you are loved. What this version of the I Ching speaks to is that depending on that, you're separating yourself from the cosmic whole because people are convenient in a way because you can hear them, you can feel them. But if you're in your heart of hearts, if you've moved through your thinking and your feeling body, and you still feel like there's a group that you need to leave, it's important that you leave them. Separate yourself from them. Say no to them. The hardest group I've ever had to leave was my body psychotherapy group. Like I loved being around them, and we were doing deep work. Genuine deep work, sexuality work, lower self work. Okay? It's very rare to find people who actually want to go and smear the shit that they've been avoiding on themselves to own it. Okay, this group did that. Okay, we would talk shadow every day, lower self every day, going to the depths of what our architecture, our survival patterns had created for us, and revealing the truth, bathing it, washing it in the light, washing it in the light of truth. When I left that group, I grieved, and I grieved a proper grieving. I didn't destroy the group like I normally do. I needed to leave the group with grace, and that was incredibly challenging for me. It's much easier to leave someone and leave a group by just throwing shit on them, throwing shade on them. So, yeah, they were fucked. They were hypocrites. They were this, right? It makes it easier. It's much harder to feel the love and the affection and the affinity that you had for them because that might not get reflected back. Yeah, makes sense? Now, this hexagram for me, I got this quite recently. Let's just have a quick sticky peek at what I got. I got this bad boy. Okay, I've had it 4 times. So I had it in 2025, line 1. 14th, I had it in 2, 4, and 5, line 2, 4, and 5. 8th of May, 1 and 3. And the 5th of May, quite recently, lines 2, 5, and 6. And I think from memory, back in April last year, I was really struggling with cash flow and making a choice about whether or not I renewed with a business mentor or not. Because what I found was a lot of coaches out there are really tied into the collective ego, meaning they push. They're actually not in alignment with everything else. So They can help you create a goal, for example, or some manifestation thing. And then they keep on convincing you day after day that this is what you need to do. This is what you need to create. You said this, now you need to create it. And there can be this real attachment to your outcome because your outcome improves their social proof that keeps people stuck in loops. And that's what I see right now in the coaching industry. I mean, if you're a coach watching this right now and you might be struggling with cash flow, you could be swept up into this fate being played out because we're all part of that same group. We're all part of that coaching, that mentoring group. So if you can pull yourself back and say no to whatever's here, then you might find your cash flow could start to improve. And even if it doesn't, there's something else that's playing out here. And if you're subscribed to being in harmony, being in cosmic harmony, then you'll be curious about, well, what does this text have to offer me? Because there's truth here. We are all being directed into cosmic harmony, whether or not we like it or not. Consciousness has momentum. Consciousness has a direction. It's outside of what we need to know. It's none of our fucking business. All we need to do is play our part by coming into alignment, being curious about our behavior, being able to say no to the things that the collective ego has convinced us to be a part of, which can include coaching containers that talk about scaling your business, coaching or mentorship containers that are talking about 6-7 figures, how to get more clients, how to do this, how to do that. Maybe you need to unsubscribe from all of those things because you can feel deep within your body that something is off. And if you can feel that something is off and you keep pushing, it's either a survival pattern or it's the collective ego trying to find all of those insecurities in your psyche to exploit your energy, your chi to feed itself. Now, what else do I want to speak to in here? There was something that I highlighted, which was really important. Here we go. He needs instead to say the inner no to the ideas behind those fears, which, if not corrected, will project what is feared into reality. This is from line 4, okay? A lot of content out there is designed to activate your fears. It's designed to instill a response of taking action, and then you have time pressures apply to things, and I do this in my work. You have time pressures applies to someone acts, takes the step, buys the course, enrolls with me. So by putting this objective on a pedestal, what we do is separate ourselves from cosmic harmony. And we're told to use these techniques because if you don't use these techniques, then here come the fears. You're not going to be able to run your business. You're not going to have any clients. If you can't run any clients, well, how are you going to pay for food? How are you going to pay for rent? If you can't pay for any food or pay for any rent, how are you going to live? If you can't afford to live, well, then you may as well die, right? So it uses the fear of death or destitution to drive us into areas of life which are outside of cosmic harmony. Now, this I Ching speaks to love is attraction. Love is the force of attraction. So when we love ourselves within the context of cosmic harmony, not some wishy-washy, love yourself, rose petal baths, spraying yourself with perfume, maybe have an extra hour's worth of sleep in, love yourself. A genuine, now I'm grounded in myself. I'm good. I'm okay with who I am. I'm satisfied with how I show up. People will come to us in ways that are outside of our field of control. For example, over the past week, I've had multiples of people tagging me in posts, ex-clients and people that follow me, just tagging me in their posts, telling their friends and me how much I've touched their lives. I have not needed to initiate any of this. I believe this is part of me saying no to the things that I've been doing for many, 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 many years. This is not to say that I have some special relationship with the I Ching. What it has required for me to do is be with my feelings and think my way into my feelings and vice versa. Because the thinking mind loves fear It loves fear because fear gives it something to do. It hates boredom and loves fear. Right? When it's bored, it'll find something to do. Oh, I'm bored. Well, I might go read something. I might go put a podcast on. Can't sit in this stillness long enough without feeling agitated and needing to do something. That's part of the aggressive survival strategy from the 5 survival patterns. But when you are presented with an opportunity to have a look at, well, what's really going on in my life, do you take it? Now, the next one that I want to talk to here, what was it? It was really important. Okay, poison arrow on him. Now, when I was reading this out, I had this image of my dad, and my dad, like, I love him, and, oh, that's annoying, to pick up some coins. My dad has a bit of a martyr complex about him, and he may have put on me a poison arrow. I've been having this fantasy right now about that people are going to love me more when I'm dead. People are going to love me more when I'm dead. And it showed up in a message that an ex-client sent to me talking about that she's got this cancer diagnosis, a very rare cancer, like 1 in 700 people in Australia get it, where she had this image of being reunited with a man because she had cancer. And that cancer brought them together, like through chronic illness, they got brought together. And these reoccurring memories that can show up for you are a mind flash that a helper or group of helpers, that's a helper is giving you to help unprogram, deprogram, remove a poison arrow, remove something from your psyche that is interfering with you being in cosmic harmony. Because in cosmic harmony, we are meant to live for a long time, whatever a long time is. All right. So illness is a stacking effect of being outside of cosmic harmony. I mean, for me, I don't know about you, but I hurt myself when I'm not present. Like the other day, I was cutting some wood in the garden, and I told my son, do not invite the neighbor's boys over. Anyway, next minute, he invited the boys over, and I'm sitting there, like, seething, like, am I being too controlling? Like, I love him playing with our neighbors. Like, I love him doing that kind of stuff. And while I was seething, not present, okay, with the knife that I was using to chop the wood, I chopped a chunk into my thumb. Like, I put the blade through my thumb. And I was like, oh, I'm so annoyed at this. And I knew straight away that, oh, I'm just not being present. Like, that's a micro fate for me. It's a micro fate. I'm not being present. So I find that whenever I hurt myself, when I hit myself on something, I'm not being present. I'm actually thinking about something in the future that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant right now. If I actually want to think and be forward thinking into the future, I need to center myself. And there is an exercise in this I Ching, which is about centering yourself. I do it every morning. Sometimes I fall asleep, but I do it every morning where I'm grounding in with myself. I'm feeling what needs to go in the wagon that's irrelevant, that the ego wants to throw on you, all the stuff that fears and boredom and everything. All right. And then I let the helpers of the invisible world sort it out for me, and then I get the downloads that I need to move forward into the day. All right, got 3 coins here. The question I'm going to ask is, has my dad put a poison arrow on me about being valued in death? Has my dad put a poison arrow on me about being valued in death? So I'm going to throw the RTCM and see what happens. All right, 3 no's. Okay, so it's not my dad. Okay, cool. All right, great. So then there's something else there, and I'm going to ask the hexagram, the I Ching again, the sage. Is there a hexagram that can help me identify what this being valued in death thing is? No. Oh, yes. No, sorry. 2 no's and a yes. All right, cool. So I'm not going to go any deeper into that. What I'm going to do is just say no to it. Okay. Just say no to it. Do I just say no? I'm going to ask the RTCM again. Do I just say no to this thing about being valued more in death? Yes. Okay, cool. So 3 heads. So that's what I'll do. I'll just keep saying no to it. It's like, great, cool. That thing? No. That thing? no. And just keep on saying the no to it until I don't need to say no anymore. Why I love this version of the I Ching is because it's just so grounded to me. Like it crosses over with what I've known about human design. It crosses over to what I've known about gene keys, crosses over to what I know about the survival patterns, like the 5 survival patterns that create our posture, that create our breathing patterns, that create our attraction patterns. Like it has crossover with everything that I've known. And it's so delicious because it's accessible to people. Like anyone can get this. Anyone can have a look at this. Anyone can work their way through this and find not so much peace, but harmony with the cosmic whole. And harmony with the cosmic whole can mean many things. This line can also refer to a person who, in doing the right things, expects the praise and approval of the sage to be reflected in some sort of success. Any form of expectation comes from the human-centered view of the universe and soils his innocence. I got line 6 in the last round of contemplations. And what is so important here is the ego and the insecurities that the ego feeds on, that hooks into it, wants you to look to the future. What it's really asking for you, the cosmos is really asking for you, is to be present. So for example, for me, doing all this stuff, all right, and hoping that at some point, like we're a family of 4. So hoping that at some point I'm going to have enough money to be able to buy a house, because I'd love for my wife to be able to have a house of her own. As me, I've had property, and I'd love to have my own place too, where I can just drill into the walls, where I can go and plant a garden in the garden if I want to. So I could pass something onto my sons if I want to pass this onto my sons, this property onto my sons. There's something about owning land. I've just had the thing. It's in this hexagram. Related ideas are those of having rights over others or over nature. Such ideas violate the cosmic principle of modesty. Interesting. So buying property is you actually having rights over nature. Interesting. That's what's just flashed for me. So for me, maintaining a sense of modesty, if I do happen to buy a property at some point, that whatever my internal philosophy around having rights and that I own that is irrelevant. Saying no to the ego hooks of that I own that, and by some or manly human-centered view of the universe ordainment that I can do whatever I want there, which also crosses over. Oh, I love this. What's happening right now is like we went to a bush school on this Monday, and we're being counseled or taught to by a brother of the indigenous ways, like a local uncle, and he's amazing. I love him to bits. And what he was talking to, and I actually shared with him after the ceremony, we're doing like a cultural immersion, and he was talking about that we are all connected. There is no one thing's better than the other. We're all on the same hierarchy. We're all part of the one whole. So when we die, we go back to all that is. But then, and when we're here, we're still connected. And when we name something incorrectly, like we were doing a smoking ceremony, and he said, "I'm not going to call the tree what its botanical name is. I'm going to call it by what we call it." I can't remember the name, like Bulama or something. Anyway, some indigenous name, some First Nations name, right? And and as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh my God, this speaks to exactly what the I Ching is speaking to. When we call things by their incorrect names, we trap them, we hold their energy in a state, right? Which means part of that person's journey is to unlock themselves from that state, and or just allow the fate to complete itself, and then it resets. And fate is a timed thing. And the helpers of nature are the ones that enact the fate. And the Aboriginal ways is all about nature. It's all about living in harmony. They're not rushing to get anywhere. It's all about presence. It's about story. It's about life. It's about the cycle of life. It's all about, there is no, in Actually, I don't know that. I was about to make something up there. I was about to say there is no inherent evil, but as far as I see, there is evil, and it's not in the sense of a demonic, although it is. It is actually in a demonic sense, but it's what is not in cosmic harmony, and what I can see. Don't need to share that. When we are outside of cosmic harmony, the ego is given almost a permission to be evil. And what I've found in my work through lower self work, owning all the feelings in the body, all of them, okay, even the most diabolically evil ones, is what sets a person free. When an individual is attempting to distance themselves from feelings of death or deprivation or carnal anything, you suppress it. And in that suppressing, the ego has food to hook into you in order to feed off it and make it come to fruition. Because the more you try and avoid what you don't want to feel, you naturally become an attractor field for what you're avoiding. All right? Love is the force of attraction. The cosmos wants you to be in love. And to be in love, you need to confront the thing that you are denying and you are suppressing. Whether you are denying the reality of your money or your relationships or whatever it is, you're going to come face to face with the reality of whatever you are denying. And that's just part of the cosmic way. It's not some personal vendetta against you. It's physics in the context of cosmic harmony, where until you are willing to be with the denial of what's going on in your life, what's going on in your relationships, you will be continuously confronted by the consequences of that denial. And some people say, "Oh, I'm a victim to all this. I'm a victim. People keep picking on me. Life just sucks. Life is just this way." It's like, yeah, cool. But underneath that story, there's actually a sensation that you are denying, because the story makes it palatable. The story makes it, this is just my life. Life sucks. I don't want to be here anymore. I can't believe how people do this. Or in the context of relationships, the dating game sucks. There's no one out there doing the work. No one wants to hang out with somebody like me. Those are all forms of group we, like I mentioned before. Because if you find a person that doesn't like dating or that doesn't like relationships or has this belief system, they will naturally gravitate towards you because it's safe. To leave that body of people, that group of people, requires saying the inner no, and sometimes, for a lot of my clients, it requires them to physically remove themselves, whether it's from a family system or a group or a community or a country or a state, because that's what their body is telling them. I remember an exercise I did with a client, and I helped break down, because she was struggling in her business. She couldn't work out how to make her business work. She's spent years in courses, spent tens of thousands of dollars on courses. But what matters here is that if you don't ask the right questions, then you're going to get an incorrect answer. Okay, it's the question that matters here. It's not the answer, it's the question. So in the question, I asked her, how much do you feel at home where you're at right now? I'm pretty sure that was the question. How much do you feel at home out of 10 where you are right now? And she was like, maybe a 5 or a 6. Cool. Then we felt and thought into another potential destination. How much do you feel at home there? 9, 10 on a good day, right? So those metrics matter. That's a combination of thinking and feeling. The thinking is the number. The feeling is the sensation in the body, because you know what that 10 feels like. I do this all the time in my relationship work. How much do you feel safe in this relationship? 3. Cool. There's your answer. How much do you feel like you can be yourself in this relationship? 5. Right? How much do you think you're going to attract another person who's exactly the same as your last partner out of 10? 6. Right? How much are you heartbroken right now? 10. I'm a 10 heartbreak right now, or 8 heartbreak right now, right? So if you're stuck in heartbreak, you're not going to be able to do the deeper work to remedy that, so you're no longer walking around heartbroken and bleeding and being contemptful, to the relationship space, you can't fix it. You can't repair it. You need to move through that heartbreak, which requires thinking and feeling. So doubling back to the numbers, with the thinking and the feeling, when we found out that that was the place that she needed to be in to feel at home, and you can say, but you have to feel home in your own body. Yes and no. There's the new destination that she needed to be in was going to help rejuvenate her business, rejuvenate her life. And it has done that. It's rejuvenated who she is. You can see on her videos and her content and her voice how much life is flowing through her body because she's in alignment. When you are in alignment, just one line, one molecule of being in alignment, your whole life shifts, and it shifts in unexplainable ways outside of your vision boards, outside of what you think that you need to do in order to be successful or be the next Alex Hormozy or Gary Vaynerchuk or next Joe Dispenza or Wayne Dwyer or next Alan Watts or whoever, or next Carl Jung or Jordan Peterson or whoever your favorite psychological business guru is, Tony Robbins. You learn to be yourself, okay? Because all of those names have their own meaning within that own person's body. But for you, identifying who you are and how to come in alignment for you requires saying no to a number of things that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. And you need to feel the discomfort. And then once you find the faculty and the efficiency in your body to feel, then life starts opening up for you. Miracles become the default state. But there is no magical way of doing this other than what this I Ching speaks about. So, if you enjoyed this and you want more of it, give me some subscription, give me some subscribe. Give me some subscribe button pushing. Give me some likes and give me some comments, because this is what I love to do. Like, this thing that I'm speaking from right now feels alive. It feels energizing. It feels like it's sharing the chi that I've cultivated today to share it with the people on the camera or whoever's listening to me on the other side of this. You are loved so deeply, and you might need to say the no to the parts of you that doesn't feel like they can be loved. That alone can open you up to be in harmony with the cosmic way and attract a new caliber of person into your life, which wants to feed that journey, wants to keep on giving back to you, so you can keep on opening up to life, which is because that's what we're here for. We're here to be open to life. Life is the gift, and anti-life and evil groups of people and individuals and ego and collective ego wants to take that from you, wants to take that gift of life from you, from the gift of creation, the gift of children, the gift of being here right now, present, right? They want to distract you and hook into you where you've got the fears, the weaknesses, the poison arrows, the imps, the demons, the dragons that are pulling you away from alignment and guiding you a few degrees off center, so you end up finding out later in life that, oh my God, this is the lie that I've been living. But you can discover that now. You can discover what you're denying now by asking the correct question and giving a truthful answer. Mad love. I'll see you in the next video.